Wow, we are finally here nearing the end of the restoration process, and I'm excited to be standing in front of a 1954 Chevy Corvette. I mean, this is a beauty. And let me say, I'm not some kind of car expert. I just thought cars was a great image for how we as men get our hearts restored. But I can definitely say this one is pretty breathtaking. A 54 Chevy Corvette, and you can kind of take a look at this. What a beautiful car. One that has been fully restored back to its original parts. And the thing I love about a restored car is when you're driving down a highway or some big freeway, we see all these brand new cars and they look kind of cool. But when you see a car like this that's been fully restored, gone through the whole process back to the original parts, that will turn a head, won't it? And that's really, for me, the heartbeat of this whole book and process is not just to be another kind of assembly line guy, feeding us through a church process, but to understand that your restoration, your heart, is very unique and personal. And God's restoration of your heart as a man, boy, it matters a lot. And I think ultimately it will show the world a very unique process for how we as men are restored. And so we come to this final part of the restoration process, and we've walked through 4 different phases of restoration. And part of this, what we are entitling The Journey Ahead, is to remind us that the restoration process never ends. The great thing about a car getting restored is we get to see it, but I'm here in a garage where this car has come back and it needs a little bit more work done. And so as men, we're never finished with the restoration process. God always has more for us. And so I want to encourage you as you finish this process, and maybe you've been walking with a group of men or another guy through this, this is just the beginning of another process for you. And so spend time working back through those 4 phases, knowing God as Father. I found in my own journey that God keeps taking me into deeper levels of my relationship with my earthly dad and my relationship with God as Father. So continue going back to that phase. And then spend more time in phase 2, knowing yourself, working back through your own parts of your story, and making sure you understand who you are both spiritually and emotionally as a man. And then living in brokenness and humility. That's that biblical theme that we continually walk through, is how God shows His power through broken and even vulnerable people. And then finally, to walk with God in the disciplines. Remember that, phase 4? That's where Bible study, prayer, it's those disciplines that are ways for God to father us. And we continue to do that for God to work out some of those dents and broken edges in us as men. And so the journey ahead says there's a lot more that God wants to do. It's been a privilege for me to walk with you over these weeks. And I pray and I hope that as you journey ahead, that you'll continue the restoration process. And I know, as God tosses you the keys to the car, that there's a lot more exciting days ahead for you. But thanks again for joining me in this restoration process.